Hello everyone, this is Sabita Sankara and welcome back to our Enterprise Data Engineer interview series. In our previous episode, we learned what is data engineering, right? So today we will answer one of the most frequent asked interview questions for 5 plus to 15 plus years experienced data engineers. So how would you design a enterprise data pipeline? We will explain this using a real production scenario, enterprise architecture, end-to-end data flow, monitoring best practices, and finally a real interview answer. Let's go. So, imagine you are working for a global e-commerce company like Amazon, Flipkart, or Walmart. Every day, millions of customer orders are generated from websites or mobile apps or payment gateway or inventory system or logistic partners or CRM system. Then business users expect near real-time sales dashboards and live inventory updates or order trackings and customer analytics and fraud detection or executive KPI reports. However, the challenges are significant. The data arrives from multiple systems, right? So some data is batch while some is streaming. So duplicate and late arriving records are common. So here data volume reaches terabytes every day. So data quality issues must be addressed. Then any pipeline failure should be detected immediately. Then the business needs accurate, trusted and fresh data. So the interview question becomes, how would you design a scalable, reliable and production ready enterprise data pipeline? Then let's look at the architecture. So everything begins with multiple data sources such as operational databases, files, cloud applications and third-party APIs, right? So the ingestion layer collects data using batch processing, streaming platforms, REST APIs, and chain data captures. So now next comes the processing layer where data is cleaned and validated, also standardized and enriched, and business rules are applied. So after that, technologies commonly used include Azure Data Factory or Databricks or Apache Spark or SQL. The processed data is stored in a Mendelian architecture. Here, bronze layer is the raw data. Then silver layer is cleaned and standardized data. Then gold layer, business ready and curated data. So finally, the consumption layer serves trusted data to Power BI dashboards or Tableau or machine learning models or APIs or optional applications. Across all layers, enterprise services such as orchestration, data quality or monitoring, then security, also metadata and governance, also cost optimization ensure the pipeline remains scalable and reliable. Then now let's understand the complete data journey. So for the first step is data is generated by operational systems. After that, the second step is the ingestion layer captures data using batch jobs, streaming events or APIs or CDCs. Then the third step is raw data is stored in the bronze layer exactly as received. Then the fourth step is the processing engine cleans and validates, also standardizes and enriches the data. After that, the fifth step is the silver layer stores high quality validated data. Then the sixth step is business aggregations are created in the gold layer. Then the final step, the business users consume this trusted data through dashboards, reports, machine learning models and APIs. So in these steps we have to follow. After that, the result would be faster decision making, better customer experience and reduced operational costs and AI driven insights Then reliable business reporting. Throughout the flow, data quality checks validate completeness, accuracy, consistency, timeliness, and uniqueness, also validity. This ensures that only trusted data reaches business users. Then, designing a pipeline is only half the job. A production ready data engineer must continuously monitor the entire pipeline. So, we have to monitor pipeline execution, job success and failures, data freshness, and processing latency, also data volumes, then infrastructure utilization. So, for error handling, we have to implement automated alerts, retry mechanisms, dead letter queues, and exception handlings, audit logging, and data reconciliations. So, data quality is validated through schema validation, data profiling, and business rules checks, duplicate detections, and data drift monitoring. Then the enterprise best practices include designing scalable pipelines, building idempotent processes, then creating reusable components, also managing metadata, and securing data with encrypted and RBAC, optimizing cloud costs. A good data engineer does not just build pipelines, they ensure they are reliable, observable, secure, and maintainable. Then, now let's answer the interview question. The interviewer, how would you design an enterprise data pipeline? So, here we have to start by understanding the business requirements, including data sources, expected data volume, latency requirements, downstream consumers, and data quality expectations. Then we have to design an ingestion layer capable of handling both batch and streaming data using Azure Data Factory, Kafka, event hubs, or APIs, or CDC based on the use case. Then raw data is stored in the bronze layer without modification to preserve history. After that, the processing layer uses Spark or Databricks to perform data cleaning, validation, duplication, enrichment, and business transformations. Then the transformer data is stored in the silver layer, while aggregated business ready data sets are published in the gold layer. Then business users consume the gold layer through Power BI dashboards or SQL queries or machine learning models or APIs and operational applications. Across the pipeline, we have to implement orchestration, monitoring, logging, alerting, retry mechanism, audit trails, metadata management, security governance, and cloud cost optimization. So, our primary objective is to build a scalable, reliable, secure, and high performance pipeline that consistently delivers trusted data for business decision making. That's how I would explain how would you design an enterprise data pipeline in a real data engineering interview. Then remember, interviews are not just looking for tools, they want to see that you understand end-to-end architecture, scalability, reliability, data quality, security, and business impact. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the next episode, we will explore another important interview question, that is batch processing versus streaming architecture. So we will again cover it with production scenario, enterprise architecture, end-to-end data flow, and monitoring and best practices, also real interview answer. See you in the next video. Thank you.